Starting over is not the end, it's the beginning. There is power in starting over, and you're not alone. You've lost your job, you're going through a breakup. Maybe you realize that what you've been working all your whole life is not going to work out the way you want it. Whatever the case may be, you're starting over. You're back at square one. It feels like failure. But what if square one is not about going back to the start? What if instead it's a door that opens up a whole new part of the board? In this video, I'm gonna prove to you why starting over has nothing to do with defeat. It's more like a rite of passage. And to be honest, you're in very good company, because you're not the first or last person that would ever have to start over from scratch. What does Stoicism say about starting over? As the great Stoic and leader Marcus Aurelius once said, think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life, now take what's left and live it properly. It's one of the most important quotes in history of human thought, but it's not about giving up. It's about embracing change with intention, treating every moment as a second chance to live more authentically. I haven't spent a lot of time speaking specifically about Stoicism on this channel. However, if you look closely, you'll see that virtually everything I say orbits around this topic in one way or another. Now, for those of you guys who don't know about Stoicism, Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophy that teaches the development of self-control, resilience, and rational thinking as a way to achieve inner peace and success. It focuses on control, acceptance, and recognizing that adversity isn't something to be embraced, and that it includes change. The Stoics understood starting over often carries an emotional weight that often feels unbearable, but they also recognized that beneath the heaviness lies an extraordinary opportunity. To them, adversity is life's greatest teacher. Like the quote from Marcus Aurelius says, starting over isn't failure, but it's a transformation. So when you lose that job, when you end that relationship, or feel compelled to change your direction in life, you should actually celebrate it, because you are evolving. Feel the weight of starting over. Now, you guys know I do sales for a living, and in sales, we use a technique called feel, felt, found approach. This is all about empathizing with an audience, addressing their concerns, and then guiding the conversation toward a positive perspective. Over the years, it's not only made me money, but it's allowed me to connect with my clients and partners on a much deeper level. It's also excellent for explaining the concepts that counter natural behavior, such as finding the value in starting over. So when you have to start over, how do you feel? After all, starting over is hard. It's okay to admit that. And for many men, the process feels particularly heavy because of societal expectations and psychological pressures. Nowadays, many men tie their sense of worth to their career, relationships, or achievements. And when these things crumble, it's gonna leave you questioning your purpose. Then there's the ever-present fear of failure, which is heightened every time we step into the unknown. And to make matters worse, societal norms demand that men always appear strong and in control, leaving us to feel judged when we do something that might be perceived as a failure. These feelings of stagnation and self-doubt are natural, but they don't have to define you. Stoic philosophy teaches us to confront these emotions with courage, because starting over is essential for us to change and become better. And I like to quote Marcus Aurelius here, because he once said, "What stands in the way becomes the way."
I'm gonna pause for ends.
Felt, the lessons of starting over. Whatever your situation, you should know that you're not the first person to be there. This is where the felt aspect of the feel, felt, found technique comes in. Put simply, it's about relating what you feel to similar experiences felt by others. How have men in similar situations managed to turn starting over from a negative into a positive? You're not the first person to be breaking up. You're not the first person whose business failed. You're not the first person who's having a change of heart about your career. One of the most profound lessons of starting over is the opportunity for self-improvement through adversity. In this way, every reinvention, forced or otherwise, becomes a powerful act of self-discovery. As Marcus Aurelius said, each new start is a moment to shed what isn't true to you and step into the most genuine version of yourself. Look to men like Thomas Edison and Nelson Mandela. When Thomas Edison's factory burned down, destroying years of work, he didn't succumb to despair. Instead, he famously told his son, "Hey, go get your mother and her friends, because they'll never see a fire like this again." And it's with that mindset that Edison rebuilt and innovated, turning a devastating loss into an opportunity for growth. And just like that, Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, yet he emerged without bitterness. Instead of dwelling into the injustice, he used his time to reflect, grow, and prepare for a future where he could lead and inspire. Look, starting over is not easy, but it's transformative. It strips away the excess and leaves you with the essentials: who you are, what you value, and the strength to rebuild. Found how men move forward. So what's the solution for starting over? What can be found in what we feel and what other men in the past have felt? The main takeaway is that starting over has potential to lead to newfound clarity, purpose, and strength. After all, a fresh start reveals what truly matters, stripping away distractions and allowing us to focus on core values. There are thousands of stories of men who discovered a true calling after a major life reset, myself included, because they were finally open to finding meaning in their paths they never imagined they'll take. And in the months, years, and decades after you start over, you can look back and see how the struggle fortified you, making you more resilient than ever. Remember, every setback is an opportunity to rewrite your story. But how does one do that? I have here some steps to follow if you're facing a fresh start. Starting over can feel overwhelming, but breaking the process into manageable steps can help transform the challenge into a structured journey towards growth. First thing you gotta do is you gotta accept the situation. It's natural to feel regret or anger about what has happened. However, dwelling on the past, it's only going to stall the progress. Instead, focus on acceptance. Recognize that while you might not have chosen the situation, you now have the power to shape what comes next. This allows you to release blame, whether directed at yourself or others, and shift your energy toward rebuilding. Once you made peace with your circumstances, the next step is to set small, achievable goals. Starting over can feel like staring at a foundation of an empty house and wondering, how do you rebuild it overnight? But even Edison, genius as he was, didn't do that. So instead of overwhelming yourself with grand plans, focus on small, actionable steps, because these small wins accumulate. They build momentum and confidence as you move forward. And the next thing you gotta do is you have to seek support, because men are far less likely to have a support system in place, which contributes to feelings of isolation during times to change. Try to find people who can guide you, encourage you, and listen to you without judgment. You might consider joining a community or a group that aligns with your goals, whether it's a networking organization, a support group, or even an online forum. And finally, you have to learn how to embrace the process. Starting over is not a sprint, it's a marathon. There will be moments of frustration, fatigue, and doubt, but each day brings you closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. Embrace the fresh start. Treat it as an opportunity to live intentionally, to grow stronger, and to discover what truly matters. Your next chapter is waiting, and this chapter may be the best one yet.